Chapter 29. Curtis and Larry showed up the next day and bunked in sleeping bags at Mom's. Dad was at a motel. Grandpa stayed at Mom's too, with Tree and Bradley, but this afternoon he was out with the trash king getting building supplies. How bad is it? Curtis asked Larry. Part of Tree wanted to say, it's awful with Mom and Dad, but he knew Curtis didn't mean that. Tree tried to find the words, but you've got to see for yourself what a flood can do. Curtis and Larry walked around the muddy lawn, kicked debris away, looked in the broken basement windows. They went inside the house, came out gagging. Larry swore, hit the dumpster, stormed off to get away from the site. Curtis went after him, motioned Tree over, put one arm around Larry, one around Tree, and they stood there looking at the old house. Tree felt so close to his brothers. We've got 72 hours, Curtis said. What do we do first? Give up, Larry suggested. Curtis shook his head, held on tight. Scrub the basement walls and floor with Clorox, Grandpa ordered. No joke. Rubber gloves on, face masks tight, the Benton brothers formed a fighting unit to kill all bacteria left by the dirty floodwaters. They lugged ruined boxes of photos and videos to the street. Grandpa demonstrated how you pull down sheetrock walls, slammed a sledgehammer into a wall, yanked as much out as he could with a crowbar. Tree and his brother stood by the wall, holding sledgehammers too. No one wanted to go first. Finally, Curtis said, I keep thinking how it used to be. How Mom drove us crazy picking out the paint for the walls. It's stupid. I don't want to knock them down. Larry dropped his hammer. I don't either. Tree wanted a magical wind to dry everything up and put it back in place. You've got to take a thing apart before you can fix it, Grandpa explained. Tree, Curtis, and Larry looked at one another. The best thing about a sledgehammer is how it lets you release your frustrations, Grandpa pounded his fist into the wall. You fellas should try it. 3 sledges rammed the wall. Grandpa shouted, and watch the plumbing in there. Larry went at this with everything he had. A clang and a crack. Larry hit a pipe. Grandpa limped over, marked the crack with tape. You got many more frustrations left? Larry gulped. Not too many. Good. Watch how your brother does it. Grandpa motioned to Tree. He hits it just right. Swings easy, keeps up a steady rhythm. Tree liked hearing that, but he wasn't sure Larry would. He hit the wall with the sledge to demonstrate, ripped off the wallboard, hit it again. Larry tried but wasn't getting it. Here, Tree stood with him. Behind him, held his arm back, let it go. Hit it like this. Larry tried it himself. That's it, Tree said. By night, they'd knocked the wallboard down in the hall and the living room. They pulled out the insulation. Those rooms stood stark like a tree without leaves. Dad came in, beat. He had to work at the store and help at the house. Stared at the site. You guys did all this? I did most of it, Larry said. Tree and Curtis pounced on him. 2 a.m. Tree was in his room at Mom's house. It felt good to be clean, felt good to be someplace that didn't smell like sewage. He'd scrubbed Larry's home-run medal and Curtis's Athlete of the Year trophy in hot, soapy water, dried them off, poured metal polish on a cloth and began to rub the metal. He went over and over, let it dry, did the same thing with Curtis's brass cup. He rubbed the dried polish off. Still a few scratches, but the metal looked gold again. Took another cloth, polished both pieces until they shone. He sprayed Windex on the marble base of Curtis's trophy to make it gleam. The trophy looked good, but Curtis's name in raised black letters wasn't clear. He filled in the C, the T, the Benton with a laundry marker. Turned to the metal. It was in an open leather box. The box had stains all over it. It looked awful. Tree had seen his dad restore a baseball glove in the rain with saddle soap. He poured saddle soap onto a damp cloth and cleaned the box. That made it better, but not good enough. He opened a can of Mika oil, put some on a cloth, rubbed it deep into the grain. You've got to be patient to fix a thing right. He felt the leather get softer, rubbed more and more Mika oil in it. Gradually, the color deepened. The water stains disappeared. Tree rubbed for an hour until he'd restored it to something you'd be proud to put on a shelf. He fell into bed at 4:30.